So I was playing golf at a country club with the retired banker the other day, and I asked him if he was into crypto at all. He said, no, I've discovered that there are plenty of other ways to throw away your money. He said, I'd tell people just deposit it in the bank. And I responded, yeah, deposit it in the bank where it is guaranteed to lose 3 to 6% of its value every year due to inflation. And he laughed because he knew what I was saying was correct. He began to tell me that the reason why he doesn't like crypto is because he doesn't understand it, and he doesn't invest in anything that he cannot understand. Now, I get it. I mean, he's a banker. I have a friend who's an optometrist, and he refuses to get LASIK surgery. And I realize it makes perfect sense that he wouldn't get LASIK surgery. LASIK surgery is his competitor. That's his competition, and you don't patronize the competition. So you can imagine that crypto is not very popular with bankers because crypto is the competition. But I hear a lot of people saying similar things. I don't invest in crypto because I don't understand it, and I don't invest in anything that I don't understand. Well, that's not exactly true. I mean, if you stop and think about it, most people aren't invested in anything. But the people who are invested, do they really understand how the stock market works? Or do they just know that historically people have made money by investing in the stock market? I mean, do you really know where your money goes when you buy stocks? Do you really understand what drives the value of one stock over another? Do you really understand how a money market account works at the bank? Do you understand how a certificate of deposit account works at the bank and why you get the particular interest rate that you do? Do you understand how your 401k works? Do you really understand? Do you understand how the US dollar works? Do you really get the US dollar? People also say things like, crypto has no inherent value. To me, that's the most ridiculous one of all. Because you reach in your pocket, you pull out a $10 bill, a $20 bill, a $50 bill, and a $100 bill. They're all printed on the same paper. The only thing different is that on all of the corners, all 4 corners, they have different numbers. Do you really believe that the $100 bill is 10 times more valuable than the $10 bill simply because they printed an extra zero on it? Do you really believe that your US dollars have inherent value? No, the value of your US dollars is completely symbolic. The number 100 symbolizes $100 worth of value. You say, but the US dollar is backed by gold. Not anymore. It used to be. Do you think every time they've printed more US dollars, they've also minted more gold and added it? No. The fact of the matter is, all value is symbolic. There's no such thing as non-symbolic value. Nothing has value. There's no such thing as inherent value. But think about it. You say, well, gold has inherent value. Okay. If there were no human beings on planet Earth to value it, would it have any value? Or does it have value because human beings have given it value? The fact of the matter is that value is a human construction, and whatever human beings give value to has value. So the only thing that you need to know about cryptocurrency is that millions of human beings across the planet give value to it. And in fact, Bitcoin is the best performing asset of the past 10 years by a lot, meaning human beings collectively on this planet have given more value, more monetary value to Bitcoin than any other asset on this planet. That is a fact. That is a documented fact. And so the thing that we must understand about value is that what drives value, this phenomenon that we call value, what drives it is supply and demand. Now, supply has to do with the quantity of an asset or a commodity, and demand has to do with the number of people that want it. So if you have an unlimited quantity of something, but a limited demand for it, the value for that thing is going to be very low. I mean, for instance, you have an unlimited supply of blades of grass on the side of the hill. Let's say you own a huge hillside, and every week you get to mow down that entire hillside, and you've got bags and bags and bags and bags and tons and tons and tons of blades of grass. But if you have no demand for those blades of grass, if in other words, if nobody wants them, it has no value. But if you have an unlimited supply, let's say, of diamonds, there's going to be a huge demand for those diamonds, and so they're going to be of great value. But what's even better is if there is a limited world supply of diamonds, but an ever-increasing number of people who want to buy diamonds, the supply is decreasing, the demand is increasing, the value is going to increase. It has to increase. No other option. It's got to increase. Now, translate that into the world of cryptocurrency. The only thing you really need to understand is that there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin. There will never be a 21 million and first. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, and the 21st million Bitcoin will mint in the year 2142. What does that mean? Well, the price of Bitcoin is going to be stabilized when the adoption curve comes to its climax, its zenith. When the adoption curve hits its peak, meaning when everyone in the world who ever will be interested in Bitcoin are interested in Bitcoin, when everyone in the world who ever will seek to buy some Bitcoin have bought some Bitcoin, and the adoption curve peaks, that means that the demand will peak. And when the demand peaks and the supply force is fixed, then the price or value of Bitcoin is going to peak as well. Now, I mean, just 6 years ago when I first bought my first Bitcoin, I think there were less than 1 million. I read somewhere around 200,000 Bitcoin wallets in the world at the time. Well, now I think there's like 20 million. So you're talking about 20 million people in the world right now, I believe, who are basically fighting for 21 million Bitcoin. Well, what happens when that number goes from 20 million to 200 million? What happens when 200 million people in the world are trying to buy 21 million Bitcoin? What happens when there are 2 billion people in the world trying to buy 21 million Bitcoin? So the question of inherent value, nothing has inherent value. Supply and demand has nothing to do with the inherent value of a thing. It has to do with the demand, and the demand has to do with the adoption curve, or the number of people, whether it's an increasing number of people who need this particular product or a decreasing number of people who need or want this particular product. And in the case of Bitcoin, what we have seen every year is that there is an increasing number of people who are interested in and seek to purchase this particular asset. And because the adoption curve continues to increase, the value continues to increase. It can't do anything else. The value has to increase. So, all of these people are arguing about the inherent value or non-value of it. Meanwhile, Bitcoin doesn't care. Bitcoin doesn't care what you think of its value or whether you think of its value. I mean, just think of it this way, that in the last 12 years, or 14 years, the last 14 years, Bitcoin has increased in value by more than 2.5 million%. Name any other asset that has done that. Now, this is either the most successful scam in the history of civilization, or there's some value here that the average person is simply super late to the game to discover. The people who say, well, I just don't know what it is, then do a Wikipedia search and watch a couple documentaries. Watch Banking on Bitcoin or one of those documentaries. And I think it's time that you found out. You should find out. You really should find out, instead of continuing to use the excuse year after year after year. Well, I don't understand it. Well, I don't know what it is. I don't understand it. I don't know what it is. I think you need to find out. Do yourself a favor. And I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it. My friend John, he told me about Bitcoin for 3 years before I finally bought it. He started telling me in 2014. And honestly, he told me about it so consistently and so passionately that I got so irritated with him. It was like he was trying to sell me snake oil. That's what I felt at the time. But when I realized that when he first told me about it, it was $160, which I thought was ridiculous to pay $160 for a digital coin that I would never see or hold or touch. And then after 3 years, the thing was $5,000. Man, it was like getting socked in my stomach. I just felt so stupid. Like I was so afraid of losing $160. And I didn't even have to buy a whole one. I could have bought $20 a month. That would have went a long way if I started doing that in 2014. You live and learn. But all I needed to hear was about the increase in the value. And I know that there's a distinction between value and price. But when I speak of value, you got to watch my video on Mastering the Market Cycle by Howard Marks. He talks about the distinction between value and price. And he talks about the fact that value increases and a bull run overestimates the value and just drives the price way up. And then a bear market under or overestimates the loss of value and then drives the price way beneath the actual value. So the value increases, but a bull run takes it way up and a bear market takes it way down, and then a bull market takes it way up and a bear market takes it way down. So I understand there is a distinction between price and value, but the fact of the matter is that the value of Bitcoin, both the price and the value, have exponentially increased. And it's simply the simple 6th grade economics of it. Like a junior high school student understands supply and demand. Like that's the first thing they teach you when you start studying economics in grade school, is supply and demand. And that explains it. That's all it is. It's supply and demand. You don't have to know anything about it. You just have to know that there is a finite supply and an ever-increasing demand. And when you look at the current buy-in the current adoption versus the world population, we are still in the early adopter stage. There's still a long way to go before the adoption curve hits its peak. And that means that there's still a long way to go before the price and the value hits its peak. So this is not financial advice. I'm not telling you to buy it. I'm not telling you to sell it. I'm not telling you to abstain from buying it. And I'm definitely not telling you there's no risk. There's huge risk. But once again, if you want no risk, put your money in the bank where it is guaranteed to lose 3 to 6%, but more than that over the last couple years, of its value every year because of inflation. That's my perspective. It's just a perspective. Thanks for watching. Leave me a comment letting me know what you think. Hit that like button and that subscribe button for more crypto thoughts and ideas. This is Cryptogenic, signing out.